work can suck. Whether it's the endless meetings, the unrealistic deadlines, or just the sheer monotony of it all, we've all had those days where we question why we even bother. And for a long time, it sucked even more. Imagine a time when labor laws were non-existent and workers had little to no rights. Like, imagine working 16-hour days in a coal mine with a 50-50 chance of getting crushed by a giant lump of coal. The conditions were not just harsh, they were downright dangerous. That was Tuesday for some people back in the day. And it wasn't just miners. Factory workers, textile workers, and many others faced similar grueling conditions. So yeah, labor relations weren't exactly peachy. Workers were often treated as expendable resources rather than human beings. See, before unions, workers were basically at the mercy of their bosses. There were no safety nets, no protections, and certainly no bargaining power. Need a raise? Tough luck. Want better working conditions? Keep dreaming. Want weekends off? Get back to work. The idea of work-life balance was a foreign concept. This led to some pretty nasty situations like strikes, riots, and bosses probably throwing their monocles at people. The struggle for better working conditions was real, and often violent. Things started changing slowly though. Workers began to realize that they had strength in numbers. People realized that sticking together was better than getting screwed over individually. The formation of unions marked the beginning of a new era in labor relations. Thus, the idea of labor relations was born. A way for workers and bosses to, hopefully, not want to kill each other. Negotiations, contracts, and collective bargaining became the new norm. It's a work in progress. While we've come a long way, the journey towards fair and equitable labor relations continues. The struggle for workers' rights is ongoing, and it's up to us to keep pushing for a better future. The Industrial Revolution. Sounds fancy, right? Well, it kind of sucked for a lot of workers. Suddenly, everyone went from chilling on farms to being crammed into factories doing the same mind-numbing task for hours on end. Imagine going from chasing chickens to making 10,000 spoons a day. Not exactly a dream job, right? And because there were so many desperate people needing work, bosses could get away with paying them peanuts and treating them like dirt. This is where the whole labor part of labor relations really kicks in. Workers were basically treated like machines themselves, expected to work until they dropped. It wasn't a good look. Something had to change. Enter labor unions. Think of them like your work friends, but with the legal power to actually do something about your terrible boss. Unions are groups of workers who band together to fight for better pay, better hours, and better working conditions. Because let's face it, asking politely rarely gets you that extra week of vacation. Unions use their collective bargaining power to negotiate with employers. It's like that scene in a movie where the hero gathers all the townspeople to face down the evil landlord. Except instead of pitchforks, they have lawyers and the threat of going on strike. And sometimes, it actually works. Section 4. The Rulebook. Because even bosses can't ignore all the rules, sometimes. Over the years, governments have stepped in to try and make the whole work thing a little less awful. They've passed laws and set up regulations to protect workers from the worst abuses. Think of it like a rule book for capitalism, except with fewer loopholes. Well, fewer than there used to be. These laws cover everything from minimum wage and overtime pay to workplace safety and discrimination. They're not perfect, but they do provide some much-needed protection for workers. Because seriously, nobody should have to work in a place where the ceiling might collapse on their head. That's just bad for business. Section 5. Happy workers, happy profits. Why good labor relations matter today. In today's fast-paced and ever-evolving work environment, the importance of maintaining good labor relations cannot be overstated. It's not just about avoiding strikes or disputes. It's about creating a workplace where everyone feels valued and motivated. So you might be thinking, this is all well and good, John, but why should I care about labor relations in 2025? The answer is simple. The dynamics of the workplace have changed dramatically over the years, and so have the expectations of employees. I'm not working in a coal mine, and you're right, most of us aren't. But the principles of fair treatment, respect, and open communication are timeless and apply to all industries, whether you're in tech, healthcare, or any other field. And you're right, most of us aren't. But good labor relations are still crucial in today's workplace, even if you're just arguing with a robot over who gets to make the coffee. The modern workplace is filled with new challenges and opportunities, and how we handle these can make a significant difference. But good labor relations are still crucial in today's workplace, even if you're just arguing with a robot over who gets to make the coffee. When workers feel valued, respected, and heard, they're more productive, engaged, and less likely to say, "Screw this, I'm gonna work for a company that actually cares." When workers feel valued, respected, and heard, they're more productive, engaged, and less likely to say, "Screw this, I'm gonna work for a company that actually cares." This sense of belonging and appreciation can lead to higher job satisfaction, lower turnover rates, and a more harmonious work environment. And that's good news for everyone, including the bottom line. Companies that invest in their employees' well-being often see a return on that investment through increased efficiency and innovation. Because happy workers usually mean more money for the company, which, let's be honest, is what bosses really care about. So, fostering good labor relations isn't just a nice to have, it's a must-have for any business aiming for long-term success. Section 6. The future of work. Will robots need unions too? Now let's talk about the future. Robots are coming for our jobs. Well, not all of them, but enough to make things interesting. And who knows what kind of labor relations we'll need in a world where your coworker is a sentient toaster oven. Will robots demand shorter charging times? Will they form their own unions? Will we have to renegotiate the terms of our own employment contracts when our bosses are algorithms? These are all questions we need to start thinking about now, because the future is closer than you think. Section 7. In conclusion, labor relations. It's more than just complaining about your boss, but that's part of it. Labor relations might sound like a boring topic, but it's really about something much bigger: fairness, dignity, and the right to not be treated like a cog in a giant soul-crushing machine. It's about ensuring that every worker, regardless of their position, feels valued and heard. It's about creating an environment where people can thrive, innovate, and contribute without fear of exploitation or discrimination. It's about making sure that everyone, from the CEO to the intern who refills the coffee machine, is treated with respect and compensated fairly for their work. This means fair wages, reasonable working hours, and safe working conditions. It also means having a voice in the decisions that affect your daily work life. So next time you hear the words labor relations, don't just roll your eyes and reach for your phone. Pay attention. Understand that these issues impact the quality of your work life and the overall health of the organization you work for. Because the fight for fair treatment in the workplace is far from over, and it affects all of us. Whether it's through collective bargaining, union representation, or simply standing up for a colleague, every action counts, even if you love your job. Loving your job doesn't mean you should accept unfair treatment or overlook the struggles of your coworkers, especially if you love your job. Because when you care about your work, you should also care about the conditions under which you and your colleagues work. A fair and respectful workplace benefits everyone.